Hi everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about interest. So what is interest? Interest is one of those things, if you have money in a savings account, hopefully you have some money in the bank will pay you to keep that money in the bank. The bank does this because they take your money and lend it out to other people. And those people pay the bank in order to borrow that money. So the bank pays you to keep that money there. So interest is a good thing if you have money in a savings account. The bank will pay you for just sitting your money there. Interest can also be a bad thing if you borrow too much money. The bank is charging you to borrow that money. So if the bank's lending you money, the bank's making money by lending it to you, but the bank is also paying you interest if you keep it there. So let's look at one type of interest. Today we're going to look at simple interest. This is the money paid only on the principal. Now the principal is the amount of money that you deposit into the bank, or it's the money that you borrowed. So to solve problems, we follow a simple formula, and this formula is written right here. Interest equals the principal times the rate, and the rate is a percentage rate, times time in the number of years. So let's look at this, but if we follow the formula each time, these problems are not too difficult. So again, here it is, I equals PRT. Simple interest is the principal times the annual percentage rate, written as a decimal, times the time in years. So example one, here's how we find interest. You put $500 into a savings account. The account earns 3% simple interest each year. So what is the interest you earn? So we know the time here is 3 years. We know the percentage rate, which is right here, 3%. And we also know the amount of principal, that money that you initially put in there. So if we follow the formula, we write the formula down first. I equals PRT. So let's go from left to right. I stands for interest. Do we know the interest? Well, no, because that's part of the question. What is the interest? So we don't know that. We keep everything right in lines. Principal is 500 because that's what we put into the bank. The rate is 3%, but as a decimal, that's 0.03 times the number of years, which is 3. So it looks like this when we fill it in. So we substitute in 500 for P. For R, we're going to substitute in 0.03. That's the decimal form of 3%. And we're going to multiply that times 3, the number of years. So at this point, I can pick up my calculator and multiply those 3 numbers together, and I get I equals 45. Now that's $45. That's the amount of interest that you would make by keeping your money in the bank for 3 years, not doing a thing, not working at all. Let your money do the work. So how much, part B is, what is your balance? So how much money would you have in your bank account after 3 years? Well, it wouldn't just be that $45. Remember, we put in $500 to begin with. So to figure this out, all we have to do is take our principal, which was the $500 that we put in, and add on that extra $45. So here we go. So here's B. Find the balance. We just add the interest to what we had put in the bank to begin with. So we're going to end up with $545 after 3 years. Again, we just follow that formula. So let's take a look at another one. Here we're going to have the interest already. So at example number 2, finding the annual interest rate. So this is the R that we're looking for here. So if we write the formula down, so here, follow along down here. I equals PRT. 100 is the interest, so we do know the interest, so that interest is 100. The principal is 1,000, that's the amount that we had put into the account. Times R, we're going to leave R right there as our variable, that's our unknown, times 4, and that is the number of years. So I can simplify. What I'm going to do here is I'm just going to multiply those two together, and that gives me 4,000 R on the right side. I still have 100 on the left. In order to solve this now, what I do is I'm going to divide each side by 4,000. All right, how do we get the variable by itself here? We're going to divide by 4,000. And when I do that, I get this 0.025. But percentage rates, we have to turn this into a percent. I'm just going to move that decimal over 2 to the right. I'm multiplying it by 100. How we turn a decimal into percent, we multiply by 100. So I end up with 2.5% is my interest rate. And that's the answer to that. All right, so the last thing here, I guess finding the amount of time. So again, our formula. So in this one, if an account earns 2% interest, how long will it take to earn $100 in interest with a starting principal of $800? So starting with my formula, I equals PRT, I go looking for the interest. Do I have the interest? Now, not the interest rate. That 2% is the rate, right? The percent is the R in our formula. How long will it take to earn $100 in interest? So there's my interest, 100. So under I, I'm going to put 100. Under principal, well, how much did I start with? It says starting principal was 800, so 800 goes under P. The rate I know is 2%. As a decimal, it is 0.02. And the time is the unknown. How long will it take? So that's the thing we don't know. We don't know time. So looking up here, we see 100. That's my interest. It says it in the problem. 800, that's my principal. Times 0.02, that's my interest rate. That's always the percent. Times T. So if I simplify 800 times 0.02, I end up with 16. So when I multiplied, what I can multiply here, I can combine those two, I can multiply those two, and I get 16. So then to get T by itself, I'm going to divide by 16. I'm going to show you that. And I would, 16 divided by 16 is 1. That's how I'm left with T. But if I take 100 and divide it by 16, which I would do on my calculator, I end up with 6.25. Now remember, we were looking for T, which is time. So that's 6.25 years is how long it would take you to do that. And that's simple interest, all right? Formula first. Formula is always I equals PRT. Interest is the amount of money that you're earning for keeping your money in the bank or borrowing it. That might be the amount of money that you have to pay. P is the principal, the amount of money that you're starting with. Rate is a percentage rate. The interest rate is different than interest. Interest rate is a percent, and time is always in years. All right, hopefully that helps, and do some practice problems on that, and you'll see following that formula is the way to go with this.